Welcome to Wealth Wisdom Daily, the channel that wakes up your money mindset. Here, we don't just talk about saving, we talk about winning. If you're tired of working hard and still barely making it, this video was made for you. Today, I'm not here to teach you how to budget or cut back. I'm here to expose a truth. Rich people don't just manage money, they multiply it. And if all you're doing is trying to stretch every dollar, you'll stay stuck forever. Our topic today: poor people manage money, rich people multiply money. This isn't just a difference in habits, it's a clash of mindsets. One side preserves, the other side expands. And the only question that matters is, which side are you on? The invisible trap called managing money. If you've spent your whole life trying to manage money, congratulations, you've been doing exactly what the system wants you to do. Create budgets, cut spending, delay gratification, stretch every dollar. Live below your means forever. Sounds responsible, right? Sounds like the smart thing to do. But here's the truth that no one tells you. Managing money will never make you rich. In fact, it might be the very mindset that's keeping you poor, silently, consistently, and without you realizing it. Let's break this down. Managing money sounds wise. It gives you a sense of control. It feels like progress. But what does it actually mean? It means survival. It means playing defense. It means making money last, not making money grow. That's not a wealth mindset. That's a scarcity mindset. The poor and middle class are taught to ask, how can I make my income last until the end of the month? The rich ask something entirely different. How can I make this money multiply before the month is over? It's not just a different question, it's a different game. Poor people focus on preservation. Rich people focus on multiplication. And when your goal is simply to preserve, you start to live in fear. Fear of losing what little you have. Fear of unexpected bills. Fear of taking risks. Fear of doing something wrong with your money. But when your goal is expansion, your entire approach shifts. You study how money works. You invest, not just save. You build systems that work even when you don't. Because here's the difference. Managing money maintains. Multiplying money moves. And if all you do is manage, here's what happens. You become excellent at cutting back, but never better at creating more. You celebrate saving $5, but ignore opportunities to earn $500. You shrink your life to fit your income instead of growing your income to fit your life. It's like trying to win a race by walking backwards slower than everyone else. You're still headed in the wrong direction, just more carefully. And the world doesn't reward caution, it rewards growth. Most people were raised to believe that managing money is the responsible thing to do. We were told, save every penny, avoid debt, play it safe, stick to the budget. But no one ever taught us how to make money work for you, how to invest with intention, how to build multiple income streams, how to turn $1 into 10. Why? Because schools don't teach freedom, they teach obedience. And the system doesn't need more wealthy people, it needs more people who follow instructions. So here's the brutal truth. If your entire financial strategy is focused on not losing, you've already lost. If your only goal is to manage money well, but not grow it intelligently, you're stuck in a game you were never meant to win. And before you learn how to multiply money, you have to face this one truth. You cannot multiply with a mindset built for survival. This is not just about what you do with money, it's about how you think about money. Everything begins in the mind. Why the poor cling to management and the rich embrace multiplication. If managing money doesn't lead to wealth, then why do so many people stay stuck in that mindset? The answer is simple, but painful. Because it feels safe. Managing money gives you the illusion of control in a world that feels unpredictable. When life is hard, when income is tight, and when the future is unclear, managing what little you have feels like the only smart move. And for many people, especially those who grew up poor or in financial instability, that mindset is not just a habit, it's a survival mechanism. They were taught that money is something to fear. Don't lose it. Don't risk it. Don't talk about it. Don't trust it. Just try to hold on to it as long as you can. This mindset is deeply emotional. It's rooted in past pain, not in future possibilities. It comes from watching parents argue over bills. It comes from growing up hearing we can't afford that. It comes from being shamed for wanting more. So what do most people do when they finally earn a little money? They protect it like it's the last they'll ever have. They manage it, they save it, they play defense, and they feel proud of it because that's what they were taught. But here's the reality. Fear does not create wealth. Protection does not create power. Caution does not create freedom. The rich play a different game, not because they're reckless, not because they don't value money, but because they understand money is not meant to be hidden, it's meant to be multiplied. They don't hold on to money like it's fragile. They use it like a tool. They see it as energy, not a prize to be preserved, but fuel to be deployed. They don't ask, how can I keep this money safe forever? They ask, where can this money go to grow? That mindset shift changes everything. While the poor are managing, cutting, saving, and shrinking, the rich are investing, building, multiplying, and expanding. And over time, the gap becomes massive, not because one group is smarter or luckier, but because they're playing by entirely different rules. One side is living in fear, the other side is building from vision. One side is working to avoid pain, the other is working to create possibility. So let me ask you this. When you think about your money, are you operating from fear or from power? Are you trying to stretch what you have, or are you planting it to produce more? Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. Your mindset is either your prison or your launch pad. And until you stop clinging to management as your only financial strategy, you'll never give yourself permission to grow. Let's be clear. Managing money isn't bad. It's necessary. It's responsible. But it's not enough. If you stop there, you stay there. And if you want more than just survival, you'll have to shift your core question from how do I keep what I have to how do I make what I have multiply. In the next part, we'll explore how rich people think differently about every single dollar, not as something to hold, but as something to send out on a mission. How rich people see every dollar as an employee, not a trophy. For most people, money is something they try to hold on to. They treat it like a prize, something to win, something to protect, something to keep close. But the wealthy don't see money that way. They don't worship it, they don't hide it, and they definitely don't hoard it. Instead, they see every dollar as an employee. Every single dollar has a job. Every single dollar must report back with results. Every single dollar must produce more than it costs. If a dollar is sitting still, it's unemployed. If a dollar is not working, it's wasting potential. This is one of the most important mindset shifts in wealth creation. Poor and middle-class people ask, How much can I save? How long can this money last? Rich people ask, what can this dollar earn me? How fast can I make this money multiply? They treat money like soldiers. You don't keep your soldiers in the barracks, you send them into the field to win ground, to bring back value, to expand your territory. Let's look at this practically. If you have $1,000 and you're in a management mindset, you'll probably put it in a savings account, keep it as emergency cash, spend a little, and hold the rest just in case. That feels safe, but it doesn't grow. Now imagine the same $1,000 in a multiplication mindset. A rich person might invest in a skill that increases income, buy assets that produce monthly returns, start a small business experiment, use it to test a marketing idea, build a product, or create content that generates money over time. The difference isn't the amount of money, it's what that money is being asked to do. One sits in a drawer, the other is out in the world working for its owner even while they sleep. This is why rich people get richer, not because they always start with more, but because they give their money assignments. They don't let it rest, they don't let it go unused. They expect every dollar to produce results. It's a system, a belief, a discipline. They think, if I'm working hard, then my money better be working hard too. But what do most people do when they get extra money? They protect it, they stash it, they maybe spend it on comfort, but rarely do they send it out to earn more. And so the money shrinks, either from inflation, poor decisions, or missed opportunities. Meanwhile, the wealthy keep deploying capital like a general sends troops, with purpose, with strategy, and with the goal of expansion. This is the mindset you must adopt if you want to break out of the cycle of barely enough. Your dollars are not pets. They are not trophies. They are not sacred objects to be hidden and admired. They are tools. They are workers. They are vehicles to freedom. And if they're not working for you, they're not doing their job. It's time to start treating every dollar like it matters, because it does. It's either working for you or you're still working for it. In the next part, we'll dive into why poor people obsess over saving, while the rich obsess over returns, and how this one obsession can change your financial future forever. Why the poor obsess over saving and the rich obsess over returns. If you've ever been told, save your money, cut your expenses, live below your means, you're not alone. It's one of the most common pieces of financial advice in the world, and for many people, it's the only financial advice they've ever received. And while saving has its place, here's the truth. Saving will not make you wealthy. Only growing your money will. Poor and middle-class people are trained to obsess over saving, how to hold on to as much money as possible, for as long as possible. They clip coupons, they wait for sales, they drive across town to save a few cents, they proudly talk about how cheap they got something, how little they spent. Their goal is to reduce, shrink, protect. But the wealthy? They don't ask, how can I save more? They ask, how can I make this money produce a higher return? They are not obsessed with preservation. They are obsessed with production. They understand something critical. Money saved earns almost nothing. Money deployed wisely earns continuously. Let's make it even simpler. If you save $1,000 and put it under your mattress or in a savings account with a low interest rate, it's losing value every single day due to inflation. But if you invest that same $1,000 into something that generates a 10% annual return, it becomes $1,100. And then that 100 earns its own return. And the cycle continues year after year thanks to compound growth. It's not just about how much you have, it's about what that money is doing over time. This is why the rich don't get excited by discounts or small savings. They get excited by leverage. They look for returns. They invest in assets, not just expenses. They buy value, not just stuff. Meanwhile, the poor are conditioned to fear spending, but ironically, they often spend emotionally and save reactively instead of investing intentionally. They say things like, "I can't afford to lose money. I need to play it safe. I'll start investing when I have more. I'm just not a money person." But those beliefs are exactly what keep them stuck. Because while they're saving pennies, the wealthy are building empires. While they're trimming costs, the rich are expanding income. And while they're trying to survive, the rich are focused on scaling. Let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with being careful. There's nothing wrong with saving. But if saving is your entire financial strategy, you're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And people who play not to lose usually don't win. It's time to shift the obsession. Stop asking, "How can I save more?" Start asking, "How can I earn more with what I already have?" Because the people who grow wealth don't worship the idea of saving money. They worship the idea of making money work. In the next part, we'll talk about the true danger of idle money and how letting your cash sit still might be silently killing your financial future. The silent danger of idle money. There's a quiet threat in your financial life that no one talks about. It doesn't scream, it doesn't crash the stock market, it doesn't show up in your inbox. It simply sits there, doing nothing. Day after day, month after month, year after year. And slowly, silently, it drains your future. This threat is called idle money. Money that just sits. Money that is saved but not working. Money that feels safe but is actually losing value every single day. Let's be clear, idle money is wasted potential. It's like owning 1,000 seeds but never planting a single one. You feel like you have something valuable, but nothing is growing. No harvest, no return, no impact. And most people don't even realize it's happening. They keep their money in low-yield savings accounts. They hold on to it just in case. They wait for the perfect opportunity and end up doing nothing at all while inflation quietly erodes their purchasing power. $1 today might buy less than it did last year and far less than it will 5 years from now. So if your money isn't growing, it's shrinking. And if it's shrinking, your future is shrinking with it. Here's what rich people understand that most others don't. Money is not meant to be kept still. It's meant to circulate, build, and multiply. Every dollar you own is an opportunity to generate more value, an opportunity to create freedom, an opportunity to expand your life. But that opportunity only exists if the money is in motion. Let's look at two scenarios. Person A saves $20,000 over 5 years. They keep it in a regular savings account earning 1% interest. After 5 years, they have about $21,000, but they've lost buying power due to inflation. Person B saves the same amount, but invests it in assets that generate just 8% annual return. In 5 years, they've grown their money to almost $30,000, and it continues compounding. Same starting amount, same 5 years, radically different outcomes. And over 10, 15, or 20 years, the difference becomes life-changing. Because idle money doesn't just cost you today, it steals from your future. So why do people keep money idle? Because of fear, because of uncertainty, because they don't know what else to do. But fear is not a financial plan, and waiting until you know everything guarantees that you'll stay stuck forever. Here's the mindset shift. Don't let your money sit. Give it a mission. Give it a purpose. Make it produce. Whether that's investing in yourself, building a side income stream, buying assets, or funding something that scales, get your money moving. Because until your money works, you will always have to. In the next part, we'll break down the 3 levels of money behavior, from spending to preserving to multiplying, and help you identify where you truly are right now. The 3 levels of money behavior. Where are you really? Not all money habits are created equal. In fact, every person falls into one of 3 core levels of money behavior. And once you know which level you're in, you can finally see what's been holding you back and what must change to move forward. Let's break it down. Level 1, the spender. This is where most people start. At this level, money is earned and almost immediately spent. There's little to no delay between getting paid and watching that money disappear. Rent, food, subscriptions, clothes, entertainment, impulse buys, lifestyle upgrades, emotional spending. Every dollar is seen as a temporary resource, here today, gone tomorrow. People in this group often say things like, "I work hard, so I deserve to enjoy it. I'll save later, right now I just need to live. I'm bad with money, it disappears." The problem isn't just the spending, it's the mindset. Money is for comfort or escape or identity, not for building a future. Level 2, the saver. This is where most responsible people land. They don't spend everything. They budget, they track, they save. They feel more secure. Their goal is protection. They want to avoid debt. They want to prepare for emergencies. They want to have enough. This mindset feels like an upgrade, and in many ways it is. But it still has a ceiling, because savers often fall into the trap of hoarding money without purpose. They fear losing what they've built. They wait for perfect opportunities. They hesitate to invest because they don't want to mess it up. And so the money sits, safe but stagnant, comfortable but not compounding. This level plays defense, not offense. Level 3, the multiplier. This is where wealth is built. Multipliers don't just earn and save, they deploy. They direct every dollar with intention. They expect returns. To a multiplier, money is fuel, it's a seed, it's leverage, it's a vehicle. They're not afraid to invest, to build, to risk, because they've studied the game. They don't look for guarantees, they look for smart patterns. They learn from mistakes, adjust, and go again. Multipliers think long-term. They use systems. They prioritize growth. They ask, what will this dollar do for me in 12 months? What system can I create so I don't have to trade time for money? How can I make this money produce while I sleep? That's the difference. Spenders chase pleasure. Savers chase safety. Multipliers chase freedom. So the real question is, which level are you living in? And are you willing to level up? Because the truth is, your income might not be the problem. Your level might be. If you're stuck in level 1, you'll never feel like money is enough. If you're stuck in level 2, you'll always be cautious, but never free. Only level 3 builds true wealth, the kind that scales beyond your effort. In the next part, we'll look at how the rich don't just rely on discipline. They build automatic systems that multiply money without requiring more energy or willpower. Wealth isn't built by willpower. It's built by systems. When most people think about getting rich, they imagine it takes incredible discipline. They picture waking up at 5 a.m., tracking every expense, resisting every temptation, and making tough financial decisions every single day. They think wealth comes from pure willpower. But here's the truth. Wealthy people don't rely on discipline. They rely on systems. They don't wake up every morning asking, should I invest today? They don't constantly debate whether they can afford to spend or save. Why? Because they've already built systems that make those decisions for them. Systems don't get tired. Systems don't get emotional. Systems don't procrastinate, and systems don't forget. That's the difference. Middle-class and poor mindsets rely on moment-to-moment willpower. Wealthy mindsets build automated behaviors that run consistently, with or without motivation. Let's make this practical. A person living paycheck to paycheck might say, "I'll try to save something this month if there's anything left over." But there never is. A wealthy person says, 10% of my income is automatically invested before I even touch it. They've built the system once, and it keeps working forever. This could be an automatic transfer to an investment account, a rule to reinvest business profits, a habit of using every raise to increase asset building, not lifestyle spending. They don't just hope for results, they engineer results. Because they understand that systems build consistency, and consistency builds wealth. It's the same reason why the gym doesn't work unless you go regularly. The same reason diets don't work unless they're sustainable. The same reason savings accounts don't grow if you only deposit once a year. You need structure. You need rhythm. You need rules that run even when you're tired, distracted, or afraid. And more importantly, you need systems that multiply money, not just store it. Here are 3 examples of money-multiplying systems the rich use. Automatic investment pipelines. They set up accounts where a percentage of their income goes directly into ETFs, index funds, real estate platforms, or business opportunities every month without thinking. Revenue reinvestment rules. They create a rule: 30 to 50% of profits from any project or business automatically gets reinvested into marketing, scaling, or new ventures. Compounding habit structures. They treat personal development as an asset. Every book, course, mentorship, or mastermind is a strategic investment, not a random choice. These systems compound. They don't just protect capital, they grow it. Meanwhile, the poor are still trying to remember to save, still trying to decide what to do every time money comes in, still hoping they'll feel motivated next month. But motivation is inconsistent. Systems are automatic. The wealthy don't wake up rich because they're better people. They wake up rich because their systems never sleep. So the question isn't, how can I be more disciplined with money? It's, what can I set up today that will keep growing even when I stop thinking about it? Because if your system doesn't run without you, then your wealth can't grow beyond you. In the next part, we'll look at the cost of letting your money sit still and why saving for a rainy day is one of the most dangerous beliefs in modern finance. The hidden cost of letting your money sit still. Most people are taught a simple rule about money: save for a rainy day. It sounds responsible. It feels safe. It gives us a sense of comfort that if something goes wrong, at least we'll have a cushion. But there's a dark side to this advice that almost no one talks about. Saving for a rainy day can become a trap. Not because saving is bad, but because stopping at saving is dangerous. Here's why. Money that sits still loses value, and not just slowly, dramatically. Inflation is real. Prices go up every year. Groceries, rent, fuel, education, almost everything costs more over time. So if your money isn't growing, it's shrinking. Let's say you save $10,000 and leave it untouched for 5 years in a savings account earning 1% interest. At first glance, it seems like a smart move. You're not spending it, you're being cautious. But in reality, inflation may rise by 3 to 5% every year. That means your money might be losing more in buying power than it's earning in interest. After 5 years, you technically have more money, but you can buy less with it. That's the silent cost. Your money is still there, but it's weaker, it's slower, it's less powerful. That's what happens when money sits still. Rich people understand this perfectly. They don't just save for rainy days, They prepare for the storm before it hits by growing stronger. They don't let their cash collect dust. They put it to work. Even their emergency funds are often parked in interest-bearing or income-producing accounts. They think strategically. How can this money stay accessible and still earn? How can it be liquid and still grow? Because they know saving is step 1. Investing is step 2. Multiplying is the goal. Meanwhile, poor and middle-class people are taught to hold money as if the world is going to collapse tomorrow. And while caution is wise, fear is expensive. If you're always saving for a crisis that never comes, you're creating a crisis of slow decline. You stay small, you miss chances, you rob your future to protect your present. Ask yourself, is your money sitting in a place where it's just safe? Or is it sitting in a place where it's growing? Are you building security or just delaying discomfort? Because there's a big difference between preparing wisely and hiding your money out of fear. The rich don't fear money movement. They fear money stagnation. They don't just save money, they send it out to grow. So if you're proud of your savings, that's good. But if that's all you've done with your money, that's not enough. Don't just save for the rainy day. Invest so the rainy day doesn't ruin you. Multiply so you never go back to zero. In the next part, we'll explore the radically different questions rich and poor people ask themselves, and how one simple change in how you think can completely change what you earn. Poor people ask, how do I keep it? Rich people ask, how do I grow it? The most powerful difference between the rich and the poor isn't income. It isn't opportunity. It isn't even education. It's the questions they ask themselves every day. Because your questions shape your focus, and your focus shapes your decisions, and your decisions shape your destiny. Poor and middle-class people constantly ask, how can I keep what I have? How can I make this money last? What can I cut to stay within budget? What if I run out? These are questions rooted in fear. They're defensive. They're survival-based. They assume that money is limited, that opportunities are scarce, that the goal is to not lose instead of to grow. But rich people ask completely different questions. How can I grow what I have? How can I turn this money into more money? What system can I build so this income never stops? How can I make my next dollar without working for it directly? These are questions rooted in vision. They're proactive. They're strategic. They assume abundance. They don't focus on protecting the past. They focus on creating the future. Let's take a simple example. Someone earns a bonus of $5,000. A poor mindset asks, how long can I make this last? What bills can I pay off? Should I save it or spend it? A wealthy mindset asks, what return can I generate with this? Can I invest it in a skill, asset, or system that will increase my monthly cash flow? Can I use this to build a machine that earns while I sleep? Same amount of money, completely different outcomes. Why? Because they're playing two different games. The poor play to survive. The rich play to scale. And it all starts with the questions they ask themselves every day. If you ask small, safe questions, you get small, safe answers, and small, safe actions, and small, safe results. But when you ask bold, growth-focused questions, you unlock creativity. You open up possibility. You train your brain to look for leverage, not just limits. Here's the real truth. Your income is often a reflection of the quality of questions you ask yourself, because every opportunity starts with a question. Poor people ask, how do I stay afloat? Rich people ask, how do I build a boat that sails without me? Poor people ask, what's the cheapest way? Rich people ask, what's the most valuable outcome and what's the best investment to reach it. So if you want to change your money, change your questions. Don't ask, how do I keep this money safe? Ask, how do I make this money work harder than I do? Don't ask, can I afford it? Ask, how can I afford to invest in something that pays me forever? Don't ask, what if I lose? Ask, what will I miss if I don't even try? Because in the end, the poor focus on preservation, the rich focus on creation. And creation starts with better questions. In the next part, we'll talk about one of the most misunderstood truths in personal finance, that being good with money doesn't mean knowing how to spend less. It means knowing how to multiply more. Being good with money isn't about spending less. It's about multiplying more. We've been taught to believe that someone who's good with money is someone who spends carefully, avoids unnecessary purchases, finds great deals, sticks to a strict budget, never wastes a single dollar. That sounds responsible. That sounds admirable. And yes, it can be useful. But here's the truth. Being good with money isn't about how well you avoid spending. It's about how effectively you multiply what you already have. Poor and middle-class people are praised for being frugal. They cut corners. They find the cheapest option. They live below their means. And for many, that's the only strategy they've ever been taught. But frugality has a limit. You can only save so much. You can only cut so deep. At some point, you run out of things to reduce, and your life gets smaller, not bigger. That's not wealth. That's controlled scarcity. Now look at how the rich operate. They aren't trying to spend less. They're trying to create more. They're not obsessing over how to cut $10. They're asking how to generate another 10,000. They understand something that most people miss. You don't build wealth by cutting expenses. You build wealth by expanding assets. Let's use an example. Two people each have $5,000. Person A is focused on managing money. They use the money to pay bills, buy groceries, and maybe put the rest in a savings account earning 1% interest. Person B is focused on multiplying money. They invest part of it into a side business, or a high-yield asset, or a personal skill that increases future income. They ask, how can I use this $5,000 to create ongoing cash flow? 5 years later, Person A has about the same amount they started with, maybe a little more. Person B has built something that pays them month after month. Again, it's not about being smarter. It's not about luck. It's about how they define being good with money. The poor define it as control. The rich define it as creation. The poor try not to lose. The rich try to grow. And here's the irony. Many people who pride themselves on being smart with money are actually playing a very small game. They're experts at saving $20, but they ignore chances to make thousands. They feel guilty for spending, even if that spending could lead to greater returns. They hold on tightly and never let their money do what it was meant to do: grow. Being truly good with money means knowing when to use it, when to invest it, when to release it so it can come back multiplied. It means asking, is this dollar helping me survive or helping me scale? It means shifting from a scarcity mindset to a strategy mindset. The rich don't ask, how do I spend less? They ask, how do I get more value from every dollar I spend? Because they understand that money isn't meant to be locked away in fear. It's meant to move, to multiply, to build freedom. In the next part, we'll explore the myth of working harder and why effort alone doesn't lead to wealth unless your money is working harder than you are. Hard work doesn't make you rich unless your money works harder than you do. From the time we were children, we were told a simple story. Work hard and you'll be successful. Put in the hours, push through the struggle, grind harder than everyone else, and eventually, wealth will follow. But if that were true, construction workers would be millionaires. Single mothers working 2 jobs would retire early. Farmers, janitors, drivers, and factory workers would be the richest people in the world. The truth? Hard work alone doesn't make you rich. Hard work without multiplication keeps you stuck. Now let's be clear, hard work is honorable. It builds character. It's often necessary, especially in the beginning. But the people who build true wealth aren't the ones working the hardest. They're the ones whose money is working the hardest. Wealthy people understand this. Your energy is limited. Your hours are limited. Your physical labor has a cap. But money? Money doesn't sleep. Money doesn't get tired. Money doesn't need rest days. If you learn to put your money to work through investing, through assets, through systems, it can keep earning while you're not even in the room. That's the secret. Poor and middle-class people trade time for money. The rich trade money for freedom and multiply both in the process. Let's look at an example. A person working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, earns just enough to pay bills. They're exhausted and they tell themselves, "At least I'm working hard." But 5 years go by and nothing changes. No savings, no assets, no time, no peace. Meanwhile, someone else uses those same 5 years to invest in income-producing assets, build a system that pays them passively, use their active income to buy freedom, not just stuff. And by year 5, they're working less, but earning more. Why? Because they understood early on, hard work is only valuable if it leads to leverage. If you're just working harder to maintain the same life, you're not progressing, you're just surviving at a faster pace. Wealthy people don't just work hard, they work smart. They make strategic moves. They build things that scale beyond their individual effort. They build systems where every dollar is a worker, every asset is a soldier, every investment is a stream. They don't just trade sweat for paychecks, they build money machines. And here's what makes the difference. The poor say, "If I want more, I need to work more." The rich say, "If I want more, my money needs to work more." So the next time you tell yourself you need to work harder, ask yourself, is your money working harder than you? Because if it's not, you'll always be stuck in the cycle of effort without elevation. In the next part, we'll dive into how the rich create streams of income, not just pools of money, and why building money that flows beats saving money that sits. Rich people build streams. Poor people build ponds. Let's talk about how wealth really works. Most people think of money as something they need to collect, like a pile, a savings account, a retirement fund, a lump sum to keep them safe. In their minds, money is a pond, still, controlled, guarded, and eventually drained. But the rich don't build ponds, they build streams, money that moves, money that flows in every month, money that replaces their labor and keeps coming whether they work or not. Because they understand something most people never realize. Ponds dry up, streams don't. Let's break this down. A pond is a savings account. You fill it up once, maybe slowly over time. But once the water is in, that's it. You guard it. You fear touching it. And when emergencies come, you dip into it. Little by little, the water lowers, and one day it's gone. That's what happens to most people's savings. They save once, they protect it, they depend on it, and then life happens, and the money disappears. Now let's look at the mindset of streams. Streams are income sources that continue flowing without constantly needing your time or energy. Rental income, royalties, online businesses, dividend-producing assets, digital products, consulting systems, automation, licensing, investments that pay regularly. A rich person isn't trying to hold money. They're trying to create systems that send money to them again and again. They don't want one pond of $50,000. They want 5 streams producing $5,000 a month, forever. Because one is finite, the other is scalable. Here's the mindset shift. The poor say, "How can I save more?" The rich say, "How can I build another income stream?" Poor people fear spending their pond. Rich people fear not building enough streams. This is why wealthy people can bounce back after failure, why they can recover from a bad investment or an unexpected expense. It's not just because they have more money. It's because they've built a financial ecosystem, not a single point of failure. If one stream slows down, another keeps flowing. If one business dips, another picks up. That's security. That's stability. That's freedom. And it's not magic. It's math and mindset. You don't need millions to start. You just need to ask, what can I build that keeps paying me long after the work is done? What knowledge, system, or product can I create that earns while I sleep? What would it look like to replace some of my earned income with earned flows? Because if you only build a pond, you will always live in fear of running dry. But if you start building streams, one at a time, you're designing a life where money finds you. Poor people fear risk. Rich people manage and leverage it. One of the biggest differences between the rich and the poor isn't how much money they have, it's how they think about risk. Poor and middle-class people are taught to fear risk. They see it as something dangerous, something to avoid at all costs. They say things like, "I can't afford to lose. What if it doesn't work? I'd rather be safe than sorry." That sounds risky. And so they stay stuck in jobs they hate, in businesses they never start, in ideas they never act on. They confuse comfort with security. They confuse inaction with wisdom. But here's the truth. Avoiding risk doesn't make you safe. It makes you stagnant. And stagnation is one of the most expensive things in life. Now compare that to how rich people think. They don't ignore risk. They don't pretend it doesn't exist. But instead of fearing it, they study it, measure it, and most importantly, use it. They ask, what's the worst-case scenario? What's the upside if it works? What can I do to control the downside? How can I test this with a small amount first? They take calculated risks, not reckless ones. They don't gamble. They strategize. They know no growth comes without uncertainty. No freedom comes without courage. No multiplication comes without movement. This is how they build wealth. They invest in assets that could grow, knowing it may take time. They launch products that might fail, knowing every failure brings feedback. They hire teams, test offers, run ads, not because they're fearless, but because they're focused. Poor people wait for certainty. Rich people move with clarity, even in uncertainty. And that's the difference. If you wait until the risk is zero, you'll be waiting forever. And while you wait, opportunities expire, money loses value, competitors move faster, and regret builds silently in the background. Here's the brutal truth. Staying in your comfort zone is the riskiest thing you can do, because that comfort zone is shrinking. Inflation is rising, technology is changing, the world is evolving, And your money, if it isn't moving, is dying slowly. So here's the mindset shift. Poor people ask, what if I fail? Rich people ask, what if I never try and stay stuck forever? Poor people avoid risk and stay broke. Rich people embrace risk and grow smarter. Wealth doesn't come from avoiding mistakes. It comes from learning fast, failing forward, and adapting faster than the average person is willing to do. The goal isn't to be fearless. The goal is to be financially courageous, to take smart risks, to play offense, not just defense, to bet on yourself because no one else will do it for you. Stop managing money, start multiplying it. Let's bring everything together. If you've made it this far, you already understand something most people never will. Wealth isn't built by managing money, it's built by multiplying it. Poor and middle-class people are taught to survive, to budget, to save, to shrink, to make their income stretch a little longer and hope that's enough. They focus on what they can cut. They live in defense mode. They try to avoid failure more than they chase success. And they believe that being good with money means being cautious, safe, careful, and small. But the wealthy, they play a different game entirely. They focus on what they can grow. They think in systems. They ask bigger questions. They don't just manage money, they mobilize it, they multiply it. They build income streams. They take calculated risks. They train their dollars like employees, every one of them sent out with a job to do. And most importantly, they understand this. Money isn't meant to sit. It's meant to serve. It's meant to move. It's meant to grow. So what about you? Are you still trying to make your money last, or are you ready to make it work? Are you stuck in survival mode, or ready to start building something that outlives your effort? Because here's the final truth. If your entire financial plan is about not losing, you'll never have enough to start winning. It's not about how much you have, it's about what you do with what you have. It's not about saving more, it's about multiplying smarter. It's not about being good with money in the traditional sense. It's about building a mindset where money becomes a tool, not a trophy, a servant, not a master. And you don't need to be born rich to start thinking like the rich. You just need to stop asking, how do I manage this? And start asking, how do I multiply this? Because the future doesn't belong to those who hoard. It belongs to those who build. Your freedom doesn't come from budgeting your way to safety. It comes from multiplying your way to abundance. So starting today, make a new decision. Let your money move. Let it grow. Let it serve a purpose beyond survival. Because when you stop managing and start multiplying, you don't just change your bank account, you change your life.